All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. Yes, I'm wearing two Pixel watches. This is the Pixel Watch 2, and this is the previous generation Pixel Watch 1. And Google, they gave us a new watch already. We kind of figured, like most OEMs, they're going to use the same hardware. It was their first gen. They might not have sold as many as they wanted to, possibly. I don't know. I don't know the sales records on the Pixel Watch 1, the first generation, which is this one. But I did wear it for the year since it released, and it was an overall decent watch. I tried it on LTE. I connected service with it. I did, use it on Bluetooth. Use it any way I could use it to try to get the best feel for it and get the battery life down to a science how I wanted it. So a year later, the watch is actually running pretty smooth. But that's normally how it is with the first gen. You end up being a test dummy. So this watch was released in October of 2022, and this watch was released in October of 2023. So what's different? I'm literally going to read what's different. Now, just so you know, this video has been recorded with the Google Pixel 8. Why not record a Pixel with a Pixel? I meant to hashtag that, patent that. So the front of these have the Gorilla Glass 5. That's the same. But the aluminum frame on the Pixel Watch 2 is what's different. They have now an aluminum frame on the Pixel Watch 2, and then this one is a stainless steel. So that's different. So that would explain the 36 grams of weight difference. This is 36 and this is 31. So 5 grams is what I'm gonna say. Same size and everything, 5 grams lighter. Or 1.9 ounces versus 1.27 ounces. So yeah, different. A difference in the way it's made in the material. So aluminum, stainless steel. That's one difference. They both have the 50 millimeters. They both have eSIMs. They both have the water resistance IP68. They both are ECG certified. They both have 1000 nits peak brightness and 1.2 inch displays. They both are the same resolution, 320, 450 by 450, again, according to Gorilla Glass 5. But here comes a difference. Now, obviously, this is running Wear OS 4, and this is running Wear OS 3.5, but it's updated, I believe. I think it updated, I'm not sure. It will. This is a dual-core Exynos processor, 10 nanometer chip, with the Mali T720 in the Generation 1. Screw that. Google said we're going with Qualcomm. So now this has a Qualcomm 5100 processor inside. So that is probably the biggest difference that people probably should notice in the performance of these watches. Now, I'm rolling. I don't know if I see too much difference. I don't. If I'm being honest, I don't know if I see too much difference in like real world performance. I really don't. Scrolling effect looks pretty good on both. A little bit faster on the Qualcomm, it appears. But scrolling doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that it's a better performer. So, but that is probably the biggest change that you will see in these two devices. Now, another big change, because when I scroll through this list, they're pretty much identical all the way down until I get to one area when it comes to features. That's a little bit different. So they both have a heart rate sensor, altimeter, accelerometer, a gyrometer, O2. But this one has the thermometer for skin temperature, and it's focused more on and this is also ultra wideband as well, opposed to the LTE that was on this one. This has ultra wideband support. So skin conductance is the difference. So that's another area where the features and sensors, this one just has more sensors. Ultimately, that's it. And then when you get down one more section, this has a little bit bigger battery. You can also charge a lot faster, and I can tell the difference in the charging speeds for these. So this has a 306 milliamp hour battery, and this has a 294 milliamp hour battery, and they're both non-removable. This has wired charging, obviously, and this has wireless charging. So if you didn't know, it appears, now I think this does have wireless charging. I'm looking at these specs, but I just have to test it out myself, but it's advertised as wireless charging and no wireless charging. But nonetheless, that's neither here nor there. This charges a heck of a lot faster than the Generation 1. And could it be the processor? I don't know. It could be anything. But there are some other subtle changes that they've made on the back of these things, and it's going to be these sensors. The charging mechanism, as I get it here for you, let me see here. Clean these off because I do wear this. Now, the charging mechanism is completely different. You have these 4 prongs on this setup here, and then you have the smooth surface on the original Pixel Watch. And here's what I mean for this is just a charging brick. So that's the charging brick for this one. And as I sneak around here, get this one. Here is the charging brick for the new Pixel Watch. Now, I don't care how it charges. At first, when I saw this, I was like, what the heck? But this does not charge this watch, the Gen 1. It just slides off. But I've never checked to see if this could charge this one. It does not. So they've definitely got this down to where, you know, if you need accessories, you're going to pay. So they don't charge each other. And I'm not saying it's a scam or anything like this one isn't plugged in. I'm not saying it's a scam or anything like that, but you know, hey, you got to remain profitable. So in comparing the 1 to the 2, there are very subtle differences, man. I mean, there is not a lot of differences in these, but the changes that they did make still make it a good attempt. So put my password in here. You don't need my password. Okay. So the changes that they did make, as I adjust this band to the right slot for myself, the changes they did make are they're decent. Let me zoom in a little bit here. They made the changes for performance. That's what they did. They made the changes for performance. They made the changes for performance, and is it enough to sway people to buy this watch? Because if I'm being honest, a lot of people got it with their pre-orders. But if you didn't get yours with your pre-order, would you buy this watch? Well, let me give it to you from a person who has both. I'm just going to be honest. Yes, this does have better battery. I noticed that right away. In comparing the two, I was like, this watch lasts a lot longer. And when I say a lot, I'm talking about maybe a couple of hours maybe. But that's good for this watch because it does have a kind of a small battery, but it's only pushing a small display. Now, it is a 1000 nits peak brightness AMOLED display, but still, it's not working very, very hard. So the battery life for me in my experience easily get me a couple of hours, maybe even more. I honestly haven't really timed it, you know, or you know, try to really check. I just know that I'm easily going through a day. Unlike the first generation, man, I had some problems with this watch making it through a day. It would freeze a lot too. And, you know, we can credit that to the processor or whatever we want to credit it to. The point is, yeah, it's of these two watches, you know, Google did a subtle update and made it a little bit better. We just got to give it to them. Is it worth the price? Here's where I get into, because there's not much more to this watch. It's a sidekick to your phone, and that's really all it is. It's a sidekick to your phone. I mean, you can make phone calls, you can use the assistants, like every other smartwatch. I have other watches here. People often ask, like, well, Jay, why do you always wear an Apple Watch? Well, of all the watches that I have, I'm going to go ahead and say that this is probably the best hardware. This Galaxy Watch is ridiculous. This is phenomenal hardware. I don't like the band, but you can change the band. That's not really a thing. But of the watches I have, let me zoom out a little bit. This is probably the best feeling hardware. This one has the longest battery life. I really like the design of this one, but this is just top notch. The 5 is, I mean, the 6 Pro is just, it's ridiculous. This watch is ridiculous. It is really, really good. This classic, I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. And I still have my 4. along with tons of other watches. I have so many. I'm not going to pull out all these watches. I have a lot of watches, just to be clear. But of these 3 watches, this one has the best hardware. And so I know Google has this pebble-shaped watch going on here, and it's sleek, but it needs to be a lot bigger. This doesn't look right on my big wrists. Let's be clear here. And I didn't mind the smaller Apple Watch when I had it, but going to the Ultra 2, this is the Apple Watch Ultra 2, I definitely like it. It's probably the best Apple Watch. There's no other way to say it. This is the Apple Watch Ultra 2 or the Ultra, the first generation. They're the best Apple Watches offered. Battery life is great. Performance is great. Just everything about it is just great. I love making phone calls on this thing too. And I like making phone calls on this one. And I like making phone calls on this one. But when it comes to the hardware, here's where Google, on your 3rd generation Google, I need you to hear me out. I need you to just take a second, stand back, and realize that I come from a good place. I come from an honest place. This is too small for most people. If you're a woman, you're probably going to say this is too big. Some women think this is too big. But as a guy with big hands, now if you're a smaller person, obviously there's going to be guys out there that are smaller. They might think this is too big. I remember hearing people say that the 3.5-inch screen on an iPhone was too big, or the 3-inch screen was too big. I'm like, wow, that's weird. But yeah, this watch face and this body is so sleek. Make it bigger. Give a 45-inch, a 49-inch. People are going to buy it. They're going to buy it. This is like the perfect size for a smartwatch, in my opinion. This is great. The design of this one is very sleek, though. Really love it. Don't like Samsung's bands that they give by default. But in the end, you have to choose the watch that you think is best. And of all these watches, I'm telling you, the Pixel Watch is the sleekest. It is the sexiest. However, it is too small. Now, performance-wise, I think they all have ups to them. They're all very nice, and I don't have any quarrels about how they perform. They all perform really well, but it's just something about the Classic here. It's sleek, man. It's very nice. The body on it is so premium. If you don't have this watch, you're missing out, because it is very premium, man. It is premium as premium. It feels really sleek. Just the bands don't feel that good. Now, speaking of the bands, the way you change the bands on the Google Pixel watch, it's eclectic. It's different. I like it. It's very nice, and it's different. I'll give it to Google. It is very easy to change this band. It can get a little, finicky at times, but overall, I'm happy with the watch. Is it worth the $400 price tag? Well, for a smartwatch, when you have watches in your catalog like Amazfit and watches like that, where I try to focus more on fitness and things like that, these aren't worth it. Those watches give longer battery life and they do fitness very well. However, being connected to Fitbit, it's good. Everything is there for this watch. But this size of this watch, I don't know that a person should pay $400 for it or $350. I think a 45 millimeter watch, yeah, 1.2 inch. So 45, I don't know what this is. What is this? 30 something? I don't even know. I know the screen is 1.2, and the watch body makes the watch look bigger than what it really is. But there's not a lot to work with here. But you don't really need it per se. But for $400, this should be a 45. This is a 49, and this is a 47, I believe. It's round. Make the Pixel Watch this size, Google. You will sell a ton of them because you've got the software down. You've got the integration with Fitbit down. I signed into my Fitbit account. I'm good. Everything's good. Flawless run. Everything about this watch to me, software-wise, phone calls, AI, it's all there. However, the upgrade from this first generation to this generation, on the third generation, we need to see something different. We got to see something different. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You got to bring it on your third generation. I gave the first iteration of this watch a great first attempt. This second iteration, it's time to switch it up. Yes, you got different internals. You made a few changes. You got better battery life. You got these things, but it's time to make a change, and it's time to go in a different direction and get up with the rest of everybody else with a bigger watch face. That's pretty much what it's going to be. And then in comes that bigger watch face, and you get a bigger battery and a more beautiful display, more than likely. You can do it, Google. So the Pixel Watch 2, is it worth $400? Probably not. I would price this size of this watch at about $200, maybe, just based on the physical hardware. Even though it's the same watch here, I wouldn't price this watch at $349 to start, and then $399 for the 4G model. I would price this at $200 for this model right here. The bigger version could be $400, because then you right in line with everybody. Well, not Apple. This is $800. You're right in line with Samsung and some other watches, and the smartphone game. But taking that into consideration, this is a great watch. Can't take anything away from it. Price is higher than I would want to pay for it. However, I'm glad that Google does have promos to get these watches out there to people at no cost. So you end up paying less for the phone, technically. You know what I'm saying? But in the end, you got to make a decision whether or not, if you didn't get this free and you really want it, should you buy a pre-owned one? Should you go to the first generation brand new? I would say you could get away with getting a very affordable brand new or even pre-owned first generation and save a ton of money and kind of get the same experience. It doesn't charge as fast. The battery life isn't as good on LTE, but over Bluetooth, you can make it through a day. You've got your power saving modes and things like that. So, but this is the latest and greatest, and this is very nice. But the third generation, I know we just got this one, and you're probably saying, well, dang, Jay, you're already on the third generation, because I know that Google can do it. I know that they can do it. Just like I know that the next generation of this is going to be phenomenal. That's just how it has to be. It has to be this way. You have to go up. You can't go down. So now that you're in the smartwatch game, come on, let's bring it, Google. Let's bring it together. Take it home. You can do it. This is a great watch. I do recommend it. But try to get it with a free promo. Try to get it with the, hopefully you got it with your phone when you ordered, and hopefully if you do get it, get it through your carrier. Any way you can get it to where you're not chunking out $400, it won't hurt so bad. But this watch is a good combination to the phone I'm recording with, which is the Pixel 8 Pro in Bay to match. So shout out to Team Pixel. Stand up in the comments if you got this watch with your order. Tell me how you feel about it, and if you bought it separately. First of all, did anybody buy this watch separately? I would love to know. Tell me how you feel about this watch. Hardware, battery life, screen, software experience. Tell me how you feel about it. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.